Hello, everyone, to another edition of the VCO Esports Studio. You see it and you saw it. I'm not Ben Constanduros. So, due to a late call, he's not available to do our recording today. But still, we wanted to use the chance to do this interview with our guest. I said I will jump in and I will take Ben's place. I'm not a professional presenter, so I'm just trying to get this done as good or as professionally as I can. I hope that you enjoy the next 20 minutes or so with us on the Esports Studio. I'd like to give a very warm welcome to today's guest from Canada. It's Daniel Morad. Hi, Daniel. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. And it's very excited to be on the show. And Ben, you look fantastic tonight. I mean, Florian.
It's a big mixture. It's we at VCO, we try to make things happen, and even if some things don't work out, we try our best to make something from it. This is maybe the reason why I'm here today. Thanks for being with us. The reason why you're here is your, I would say, your latest big success in the sim racing world, and you became champion in the IMSA iRacing Pro Series presented by Simcraft last week. So, how does it feel to be an IMSA champion in the virtual world?
Yeah, it's really cool. I've been pushing really hard on the virtual competition side. Of course, I'm naturally a real racer, and making the jump over to sim racing, part time. It's been a really big challenge for me. I think a lot of real life drivers share that same challenge, as one of your main senses that you use behind the wheel of a car is taken away from you. So you're really having to adjust and learn a new skill set, or to focus on a different skill set that you have, but don't really put the emphasis on. So it's been a really, like I said, a big challenge to adapt. And I've been working hard through the VCO Pro Sim series. That was kind of my big eye opener as to how high the level actually is with the Pro Sim drivers. And I pushed myself over the last few months to really improve. And I think the results kind of speak for themselves. I've been putting in the performances, and nice consistent performances as well, and was able to rack up the IMSA title, which is one of my biggest accomplishments on the virtual side.
It was just a 3-race series, but the competition was very intense, I would say. Then there was this fight with Mirko Bortolotti. Then he wasn't there in the final, so you had a bit of I would say, a caution. But you have Radio Le Mans on the broadcast. You have the big support from IMSA, also from VCO. We were partnering with IMSA on that. So was this a special series for you?
Yeah, it was fantastic to have VCO on board as well. It just elevated the professionalism on the media side and the presentation. So that was great. And having the Radio Le Mans, or the IMSA radio guys like John Hindhoff on there, was really, really nice to hear afterwards. I would listen to the broadcast and just see how the race unfolded. So that was neat. It almost had like a real world vibe, and it's unbelievable how close those two worlds are merging together. And that's something I've also focused on, is bringing the real world and the virtual world together, because racing at times can be really exclusive. And I think most of the time it's exclusive, and I want to make it inclusive. And that's what I really tried to do, especially with my own brand MORADNESS. Is it's more than just clothing or race gear. It's a community, it's a lifestyle, and we try to make racing inclusive for everyone and have everyone involved in a tight-knit community. And I think that so far we're achieving that through every round of the IMSA series. We had the Twitch chat, all there supporting, up to 400 or 500 people at one given time watching. And that was really, really special for me to see how much the community is growing and how quickly it's growing as well.
You're mentioning your own brand, MORADNESS. Could you explain us a bit more about it? And it feels really that you have embraced all the new things, like streaming, like engaging with your community, with your fans. You are a real world racer, but there are not so many real world racers around who really did it like you did, or fully understood and threw themselves into this topic, and just being so open to share insights, to go live every day even. So is this something which you think is very important to be so accessible to your community, to your fans these days?
Yeah, it's amazing how natural it kind of comes for me. Like I feel like that's something that I wasn't really good at before, earlier in my career, but I've really adapted and learned a new skill set in, being personable and being accessible to the supporters of the sport. I don't really like calling them fans in a way. I like them, like I like to call them friends almost, because everyone really does truly become a friend, at one point, if they stick around long enough. And that's kind of what I've built the community on. And other people have become friends through it, not just friends with me directly, but other people in the community have joined forces. And even if it's something as silly as doing an iRacing endurance race together, but meeting through my community, it makes me really, really happy. But mentioning before, MORADNESS is, it's a community, and that's something I've focused on a lot, bringing the community together, being accessible. And just because I'm a real world driver, it automatically makes people really look and focus and want to be part of whatever you're doing. Not just me, but other real world drivers as well. And I mean, I just like to show a little insight into what it's like, and let people feel almost like what it is like to be behind the wheel of, for me, my AMG GT3 Evo in real life.
I mean, if you look back at the early stages of your career when you were learning key things to become a successful real world racer or racing driver, I mean, would you have expected that at some point you would turn into a streamer as well? I mean, this is a completely different, I would say, skill set that you needed to get on board there. And I mean, we just talked about it before this interview, that we worked together in the Formula BMW USA program ages ago. And I mean, I would think that even social media was not on the agenda at that time. And now you are a Twitch star as well. I mean, would you would you agree that there is a huge development in the tasks that are asked from a racing driver these days, if he or she wants to build up community and a really strong fan base throughout the world?
Yeah, it's so important because you think about how many racing drivers are on the market. There are a lot of good drivers, and you need to find differentiating factors. What's going to make you different or stand out more compared to someone else from a commercial aspect? Because there's a professional side to motorsport, that's performing on the track, and that's something that I'm comfortable with, and so far have been fortunate enough to do. But I do work hard at that. But then on the other hand, you have the commercial side, and it's no secret, motorsport is driven by it's driven by money. I mean, the car does not go around the track by itself. And if you have good sponsors or good partners, people that want to support you or support the team, in my case, it's the team. They really like the package that I bring, and it does help them get the car around the track and the crew to the track as well. So that is really important. You can't just be one dimensional nowadays. It's so different. The world of motorsports evolving so much. When you need the fan base, you need the commercial support, and Twitch is just a great avenue for me to live stream. And like you said, I streamed for a big portion, like a few months, I would say probably 5 or 6 months. I streamed every single weeknight at the same time, on the same days, and built a very consistent following, and almost like a predictability as to when I would be live. So people knew it's like a TV show. They can tune in at this time on those nights, and they can come hang out with their friends and with myself. And they knew what they were going to get, a fun, positive environment, and we were going to have a good time. So now I've toned it down a little bit as we're into the racing season. I'm actually going away this week. I'm going to the next round of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship in Mid-Ohio. So also showing some live footage from the track as well. So every time I do go away to these races, I have one day where I dedicate to, a 2 or 3 hour stream at the track, and kind of show people around. And like I said earlier, I want to make it inclusive, and I take people through the trailer. I do a tour. We interview some of the engineers, mechanics, my teammates as well. So it's really neat what we're able to do now.
And I mean, it all looks natural when you do it. It's not like being staged or something. So when was this moment that you felt, okay, there's a, let's say, hidden talent in yourself that people might even like what you are streaming? I mean, many people stream and it's boring, and you don't want to watch it again. But is there this one moment when you saw, okay, let's try this, and I got positive feedback and so on? So. And I think you really need to be sort of an entertainer to do this every night during the week. And so is there this one key moment when you realized, okay, maybe I'm a bit more than a ultra fast wheel racer?
Yeah, kind of the inspiration for streaming. Well, number one, we couldn't race in real life, and 2020 was plagued by the global pandemic, and I had a season planned for racing in IMSA, and all that was canceled. So I did Daytona. We finished on the podium at Daytona with one of my IMSA virtual rivals, Mirko Bortolotti. So it was all looking great for the year, and then all of a sudden, boom, the plug was pulled, and I had to kind of think on my feet. And streaming was interesting. At the very beginning of streaming, it was, I didn't even stream. I was just racing with a bunch of real world drivers like Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, Antonio Felix da Costa, Stoffel Van Dorn. We had probably 40 guys, not even joking. Timo Glock was in there, and a lot of others, too many to name, but literally think every big driver, and they're there. And I was like, this is cool. Like, I'm going to stream this. And a few of the other guys were streaming it as well. And I always looked at Lando's stream as kind of the benchmark. I was like, he does a good job, and he's a really nice guy. I love his personality, and he genuinely is a good guy. And for me, I was like, I get on well with the fans or the supporters, and at the real track, I'm always hanging out the back of my trailer. I don't stay and hide inside the trailer or the motorhome. I'm in the paddock, like waiting, sitting there. And if people want to come and talk, then I'm there to talk to. So Twitch was kind of like that, but in a virtual capacity. And those fun races that we were doing with all the drivers were so entertaining. And thankfully, Lando rated me once with all his Twitch viewers, and it kind of kickstarted my community. And from there, it kind of just gave me the motivation to keep pushing. And I did so much research. I'm like, okay, how do you build a community? How do you make it good? And you need the visuals, you need the personality, but you also need the consistency. So I just educated myself every day with like one bit of information, how I can be better. And I'm still learning today. I'm not stopping. I mean, everything's changing. I just set up this new section here because I want to add a different element to my streams where, we're not just driving on the simulator, where I can do more of talking and education, maybe even talking to friends or other drivers. I think that would be really interesting, just like what we're doing now. And constantly pushing and evolving.
Well, I mean, just a personal question then. I mean, this looks like a marketing plan, and something which could have a future afterwards, because I mean, racing drivers' career, they go on for a long time, but at some point, there's maybe also the question, what do I do afterwards or next to it? So is this something that you would be interested in, just to professionalize this further and to get other drivers maybe on board and tell them how to do it? Because these are very, very professional questions you were asking, how do I build a community? This is the same that we had with VCO or our agency customers. How do you manage to build? Everyone wants to have a great community, but no one knows how. And then everybody wants to have viral videos, and nobody has a master plan for this. Is this something that you are interested in now, being kickstarted by your own, I would say, activities?
Yeah, I've always, I actually stopped racing. Not a lot of people know, but I stopped racing for 4 years. Back, you mentioned the Red Bull or the Formula BMW times. I was a Red Bull junior as well, and really thought my career was on track to go to Formula One. I'd won the Formula BMW USA Championship. I broke a record for most wins all time, and was quite successful. And then all of a sudden, just everything was done. I was dropped off the program, not for performance, but more for marketing reasons and not being of the right demographic. Let's say being Canadian, it is quite a small market. And that kind of crushed me and just took the wind out of my sail for my career. I kept trying. I had an opportunity in A1 GP to race, and it didn't go so well because the series was going bankrupt, and it was also quite political. And I wouldn't really say it was fair. So again, another knockdown for me after having such a successful early, junior career, getting knocked down so many times, and I just bounced from opportunity to opportunity with no money. Literally did this with no money, and purely from just being in the right place and having opportunities and taking advantage of them on the performance side. And after doing GP3, which is now the FIA Formula 3 series, the team I was with, the sponsors I had were like Middle Eastern sponsors, and they were trying to get into F1. And the moment they were denied an entry into Formula One, they're like, yeah, we're kind of done with this sport. And I lost all my funding and I stopped racing. So for 4 years, I was coaching. I was doing manufacturer, driver programs, driving experiences. And I was lucky enough to get my second chance just calling a team, Allegra Motorsports, who I currently race for today. And it was just right time, right everything. They gave me the chance to test, and I broke the lap record first time ever in a GT car in a Porsche GT3 Cup at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. They're like, okay, so you're going to race with us this year. I'm like, great. And that was kind of like the kickstart. After 4 years of being out of racing, not driving anything, got back into it, and then won a Rolex 24 2 years later. So that just put me on the map and kept me on the map. So you never know when your career can be over. And I've had to learn so many skills throughout that period to really like keep my career going or just pay the bills in general. Like it was really tough. I had no idea what I was going to do. So this is almost future proofing myself. And it's not just about me. Like it could be kind of misconstrued. A lot of people will say, oh, MORADNESS, it's all about Daniel, but it's not about me. It's really just a mark. It's a logo, and it's about people. It's about everyone else. Like I want all the drivers, like we have hosted races that I'm now doing on iRacing, and there's like 10 real world professional drivers that are racing with us. And that's really cool. It's cool to see. I want everyone to benefit. I want everyone to, mutually benefit from this opportunity and to collaborate and feed off of each other's energy. And also, be there for all the supporters that are really interested in seeing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think that you transport this. If you watch your streams and so on, I think it has this feeling of being relaxed to a certain degree, and maybe it's due to this wild ride that lies behind you. Like you've seen it all, and you've had all these ups and downs of real world motor racing, and now you're, I would say, still there as strong as ever, and just writing on a new chapter in your career. I think it's really fascinating, and this maybe also takes us to the meaning of brands or manufacturers in your career. I mean, obviously now, leading into a works contract with Mercedes as their sim driver or sim racing driver. I mean, how did this came about, and what does it mean in general? And is this something like where you say, okay, I'm no Mercedes works driver, let's say, on the real world front, but now I got this chance through sim racing even. Is this something? I mean, this is ultra cool, I would say, because it's unique.
Yeah. It's it just goes to show you how the real world manufacturers are identifying the opportunity in the virtual world. It's much more accessible and much more vast. You can reach a lot more people, and it's not unattainable. That's the key. Is everyone more or less has the opportunity with a little bit of money. You can get pedal setup, a wheel setup, a screen, computer, and iRacing, for instance, and you're up and running and racing against the best drivers in the world sometimes. So you never know who you're going to bump into there, and that's really, really exciting. We kind of take it for granted, especially me being a real world driver. I don't realize how cool it is for some people out there to be racing wheel to wheel with me. And I've been told this, and I'm like, whatever, I'm just a normal guy driving a simulator. Like, it's whatever. But it does mean a lot for some, people out there to be able to race against some of their, racing heroes. Like, let's say Montoya, Juan Pablo Montoya's on iRacing, or Rubens Barrichello, Timo Glock, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris. All these guys are on there. Even Fernando Alonso, I've been racing against him on iRacing. And that's really, really neat. And it's such a unique opportunity. So to the point of, being picked up by Mercedes as a work sim driver, that's, in my view, it's the first step to my goal. And, it's funny because a lot of people out there are like, oh, that's cool, you're racing in real life now. I'm like, no, I'm a real life driver, but now I'm on the sim. But it just goes to show you, like I said, how the manufacturers like Mercedes, AMG are really kind of paving the way in the virtual world, and scooping up someone like myself, who's a real world driver, but is, very focused, and I'm pushing so hard on the virtual world to grow awareness and really kind of merge the two worlds together.
Mhm. I think, as you said, it all started on iRacing for you, but now you're also looking at ACC and other platforms. You are surrounded by the Haupt Racing team with Danny Juza and so on, and his squad of drivers. What a difference does this make? That there are sim racers, or well, thoroughbred sim racers around you that can also assist you with setups and so on. Is this something like working with real world engineers, that have this extra bit of knowledge, they can fine tune the cars and so on? So does this also help you to get an even better sim racer in this respect, to be surrounded by the sim pros?
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a, like I mentioned earlier, it's such a different world. You're so disconnected in relation to, having the seat of the pants feeling the car moving underneath you. You don't feel that in the sim as much. You feel everything in your hands. So it's a whole new skill set. I have to learn how you even set up a car and what to feel. So having, the HRT guys, SG Stern, team, all of these guys as, support is huge for me. It's a big learning experience, and something I thought it would be a lot easier to transition from real world racing into the sim world, but you almost have to relearn how to drive and learn all the little nuances with the simulator. And each one, like you said, ACC, I'm starting to drive a little more now. It's quite a bit different to iRacing. I find iRacing is a little bit more realistic and translatable from real life to the sim, whereas ACC is even another level of arcade, I would say, where the inputs are more extreme. And that's been something I've had to learn as well. It's going against my subconscious mind when I'm driving. I really have to focus, and it takes time. It's not just something that happens overnight. It takes a lot of training to relearn or to rewire my brain how to do something in a completely different way than what I've done for 23 years. So it's a really, really big challenge, but it very much helps to have these kind of guys there supporting.
So if you were a conventional racing driver, the question, what are your goals for this season, would have been quite an easy one. Yeah, you would say, okay, I want to be top 5 in this or that series. But asking you
Top
for your
5?
goals is pardon?
The top
No,
5?
no.
If you
Obviously,
ain't
you want to
first, you're
win this.
last.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, what are your goals this year for your real world racing, and what are your goals for the esports side?
Well, real world, it's been tough start to the year. We've done Daytona and Sebring, 24 at Daytona and the 12 hours at Sebring, and both have gone pretty poorly. Performance wise, we've been strong. Results, unlucky. We had an issue at Daytona that put us 5 laps down, and luckily the car was quick and we were quick as a team, and we fought back to, I believe, 2 laps down. I couldn't remember at the end, but a top 10 finish. And Sebring, unfortunately, we were qualified on the front row and was taken out 3.5 hours into the race by no fault of our own. We had a car behind with a brake failure and just crashed us out and also destroyed the chassis. So luckily, we have a brand new chassis for Mid-Ohio coming up this weekend. And yeah, I mean, the only thing we can do is take it one race at a time. And it's a long championship. We have 10 races to go. So, hoping for the best on that side. And I know with Allegro Motorsports, we'll be really strong with the Mercedes AMG package. Something I'm very, very excited for, to be driving with Mercedes, or to have a Mercedes package and them supporting Allegro Motorsports. It's huge for us. I have had the experience in the past with Mercedes AMG in other series, and it's been a very, very positive one. And I would say I was hugely influential in Allegro Motorsports making the switch from their conventional Porsche car of choice to Mercedes for the first time. And they've been extremely happy with the support they've received on the technical side, and also the communication's been unbelievable, and also how they're supporting myself as well. And on the virtual side, I have a bunch of races planned this year, and a lot of development with new content coming to various sim platforms. So hopefully going to be working on that side along with some of my Mercedes colleagues. So very exciting times coming up.
Sounds great, Daniel. I mean, I've got no clue how long we've been talking now. I'm no professional in that, so I think we rather stop it now. I'm very happy that we got this going, and it was a great chat with you, Daniel. And I think you were really, I would say, inspirational for also VCO as an organization, because we always try to bring both worlds together, and we have our roots in the real world racing, and now we do the esports stuff as well. And I think it's just a perfect fit, and so many cool stories to tell. And the way you do it, I mean, this is exceptional. So I could just say thanks for that, and keep on this amazing work, mate.
Thank you. And from the sounds of it, it seems like maybe we're going to be working together. I don't know. Hit me up in the DMs. No, it's been a lot of fun. You guys are doing an awesome job. Seriously, cannot say enough good things about VCO, the organization. What you guys are doing is really, really spectacular. And I look forward to all the future series that you guys have, and whatever support you guys need, I'm going to be there backing up whatever you guys have. If you guys invite me.
You're always invited. Just
thank you.
Sure that Ben Constanduros knows about our appointments, so he will also join us again for future talks and competitions. So thank you everyone for watching this. Thank you to Daniel Morad. Good luck for a great season to him. And next week we are back on Monday with the Esports Studio, and then with Ben Constanduros again. And have a good week.